Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices is made possible in part by Allstate and CIBC.
Good evening and welcome to Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices. I'm Phil Ponce, and I thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. On the show tonight, Chicago public school officials announced they hope to have a new CEO selected by late July. The head of the Chicago Board of Education joins us with more on picking the new person. The latest updates on a delay in the permitting process for a South Side metal shredder and recycling company. A sampling of some of the vendors taking part in the Logan Square Farmers Market.
It could just be like resonant and sound beautiful.
And teenage oboist Giovanni Ibarra submits a Saint-Saëns sonata. First off tonight, during her time as Chicago Public Schools CEO, Janice Jackson has weathered many a storm, everything from inheriting an ethics investigation to contentious school closures, and most recently steering the nation's third largest public school system through a pandemic. And now the announcement of her departure at the end of June comes at an inopportune time for the district, as the recent resignation of two other key leaders leaves CPS with no obvious successor. CPS announced the search for a new CEO will include a public participation component, and the Board of Education says they hope to have Jackson's replacement selected by the end of July. Joining us to talk about the search for a new schools chief is Chicago Board of Education President Miguel Del Valle. Miguel Del Valle, thank you so much for joining us. I looked at a summary of what this process is going to involve, and it sounds very comprehensive. How would you describe it?
Well, first of all, it's unprecedented, and I thank the mayor first for encouraging and wanting an open process. The last time that there were people besides the mayor involved in selecting a school's CEO was in the early 90s, when there was a nominating commission that was put in place, and those folks would forward 3 names to the mayor, and then the mayor would decide. And so this is, again, an unprecedented process. We're excited. We think it will ensure that the right person is selected to follow in the footsteps of Janice Jackson, who has done a tremendous job with our school system. She made the personal decision.
If I can interject, the process involves 30-some focus group, hundreds of shareholders, meetings, recommendations, and feedback, and so forth. And as you were saying, the mayor says that the successor will have some pretty big shoes to fill. And let's listen what she had to say recently.
Over the course of more than 3 years as CPS's CEO, Dr. Jackson has blazed a trail of successes and record-setting achievements. Under her leadership, we have seen our students reach ever-increasing heights of promise and success. From new highs in graduation rates, new highs in college enrollment and scholarship levels, the establishment of universal pre-K, record levels of capital investments, the expansion of school support staff, and much, much more.
Miguel Del Valle, you've said that one of the key characteristics that the new person has to have is the ability to get along with the mayor. Amplify on that.
Well, it's not just the ability to get along with the mayor, it's also the ability to establish strong working relationships with labor, to establish strong relationships with all the communities that CPS serves, particularly the parents in our communities, and also the ability to work well with the board. We have a 7-member board. On our board, we have CPS parents, we have CPS grandparents, we have educators on our board, people with extensive experience in education and with strong roots, deep roots in the community. And so we have diverse opinions on our board, and it's going to be important that the next CEO work collaboratively with the mayor, with the board, and with the community, and with labor organizations as well.
Well, let's take a look at the recent statistics regarding the makeup of CPS students. almost 47% Hispanic Latino, about 36% African American, about 11% white, and about 4.5% Asian. With Latinos making up the largest percentage of CPS students, should the new CEO be Latino?
I expect that the finalists list will include at least one Latino candidate. We don't know at this point. This is a large school system. We have over 341,000 students, 638 schools. It's a $7 billion operating budget with 20,461 teachers and a total of 39,739 employees. It's a large district. There are very few people out there, and we are doing a national search, but I have to say that there aren't a whole lot of people out there with the experience that is required to run a system this size. And so the pool is not going to be really, really large, but we're confident that we'll be able to come up with enough candidates so that through the interview process, we can certainly hone in on what's important for our system, what we see, what we want to see, what parents want to see, what the community wants to see, what the mayor wants to see in the next CEO, and come up with what I feel will be a good fit for the system.
You talked about the importance of this person being able to get along with a number of different groups, the board, the mayor, parents, teachers, and so forth. What do you want to see in a new CEO?
Well, I want to see a new CEO that is going to build on the work of Dr. Jackson. Dr. Jackson focused in on a mission, and she established a 5-year vision for CPS. And the mission of CPS is to provide a high-quality public education for every child in every neighborhood that prepares each for success in college, career, and civic life. And to do so and accomplish this through a focus on equity. We want to continue the progress that has been made in the last few years. Yes, the pandemic has set us back a bit, but I'm confident that we can get back on track because we were seeing and have seen an increase in graduation rates, a decrease in dropout rates, increase in test scores. Student achievement is high. The number of students, CPS graduates going on to college is high. It's the highest it's ever been. And so we want to continue to build on that. We want to maintain and continue our process of elevating the standards because we're confident that every child in every neighborhood of the city of Chicago is capable, regardless of their economic status and regardless of what their overall status is, they're capable of meeting higher standards. And that's what we want to do. There are areas that need work. We want to do a better job with diverse learners and strengthening our special education programs. We want to do a better job and strengthen our career and technical education programs, CTE programs. We want to do a better job of engaging parents. There's a lot of work to do, but it's a process of building on our accomplishments thus far. And again, I credit Dr. Jackson for stabilizing our system and for helping grow the programs that were in demand, that like dual language programs that have expanded quite a bit. We have a teachers academy. We've got a number of things that are happening now as a result of the strong leadership of Janice Jackson, Dr. Jackson. And so the next CEO does have big shoes to fill, but we're confident that we will be able to come up with the person that can lead us.
Miguel Del Valle, thank you so much for joining us. Good luck with the search.
Thank you very much.
Up next, the latest on a controversial move by a metal shredding company to open a plant on the southeast side. So stay with us. The city of Chicago is delaying the final permit for a controversial metal shredding and recycling company on the southeast side. Southside Recycling, which is owned by the company that until last year operated General Iron in Lincoln Park, has long planned a new plant in that neighborhood. But last week, the head of the Federal Environmental Protection Agency asked Mayor Lori Lightfoot to conduct an environmental justice assessment in the community before allowing the company to actually operate. Joining us with more on this latest update are Randall Sanborn, spokesperson for Reserve Management Group, that's the parent company of General Iron and Southside Recycling, and Gina Ramirez, Midwest Outreach Manager for the Natural Resources Defense Council and an environmental activist on the Southeast Side. And welcome to both of you. Gina Ramirez, let me begin with you because this proposed new plan has gone through extensive review, and now the EPA is calling for this environmental justice assessment. What exactly is that?
Basically, an environmental justice assessment is an analysis of the cumulative burden on the Southeast Side. The Southeast Side is an environmental justice community that desperately needs reforms to stop the systemic consolidation of polluting industries in the neighborhood. Our children have some of the highest rates of asthma. We have COPD, we have cancer. So this assessment will be looking further into this cumulative burden of pollution that has existed for generations on the Southeast Side.
Randall Sanborn, this final permit was the last step that the plan, as I understand it, the last step that the plan had to go through before actually beginning construction and so forth. What does this delay mean logistically for the company?
Well, a couple of things, Phil. One is, and these have both been occurring already for the last 4.5 months, and they will continue to occur. One is that it's going to increase the environmental burden on a similar environmental justice community in Pilsen, where the city's only other metal shredder exists and operates without any pollution controls whatsoever. So the volume of material that has been going to that recycling facility is going to increase the emissions, uncontrolled emissions that are being generated at that facility with no pollution controls, while the facility on the Southeast Side is not able to begin operations. And secondly, it's having a very detrimental impact on the thousands of independent recycling suppliers, known peddlers or scrappers they're often called, in the community, who earn their livelihoods from clearing Chicago streets and alleys of discarded metal products. And the lack of competition right now is driving down scrap metal prices, so that these independent peddlers, haulers, and recyclers are suffering approximately a 30% or more loss of their revenue because they have no place else to take their metal and have competitive prices right now.
Gina Ramirez, just speaking personally, in my alley, when these metal recyclers come, they're typically Latino. They're typically, they seem to be independent operators. They're not part of some large corporation. Is this having a negative effect on what appears to be, in many cases, a predominantly Latino workforce, a workforce that's involved in actually collecting the metal and taking it into recycling centers?
This really isn't about whether we should be consolidating polluters in Pilsen, Little Village, or the Southeast Side, which are predominantly Latino communities. This isn't a competition anyone wants to win. Right now, the city is consolidating these polluters and impacting negatively the health and quality of life of residents. So it's important that we get this environmental justice analysis. For too long, labor and environmentalists are pitted against each other, and we really need to have jobs that aren't detrimental to our health. So that's really why we're so appreciative for this further evaluation, so we could get at the root of that systemic problem, which is creating more health inequities within the city of Chicago.
Randall, you connected us with a person named Jorge Perez, who lives in South Chicago and has been involved in several industry groups in the neighborhood. And here's what he had to say about the situation.
I know Reserve has a very strong workforce. It's a union shop. They're Teamsters. Most of them make a very good wage, over $80,000, and most of them are Hispanic. And it's this and most of them, put their kids through school. They're working hard. They're making sacrifices. It's tough work, right? But that's the story I think that gets forgotten.
Gina Ramirez, your reaction to what Mr. Perez had to say.
Well, Ratty, the union rat, has been outside RMG's facility for the past few months because they're using non-labor workers to expand this new facility. So, you know, we've heard claims about their environmental controls. We've heard claims about, you know, these high-paying wages. But at the end of the day, again, adding another polluting industry to the southeast side is just not worth the detrimental health consequences. They have a troubled past under RMG's ownership. Last year, there was an explosion and a fire. So we are not confident that RMG, Southside Recycling, General Iron, whatever you want to call it, is going to be a great neighbor
Randall
or employer.
Randall Sanborn, your response to the assertion that you will be bringing pollution to an area that's already been heavily polluted by other industries. The indication that asthma rates are high in that neighborhood and so forth. What do you say?
Sure, Phil. Sure. Well, and this goes back to the prior answer that Ms. Ramirez gave about the cumulative impact study that she wants the US EPA and the city to do. First of all, this is unnecessarily duplicating what's already been done. These studies of cumulative impact have been done for the Illinois EPA and the city of Chicago. And Phil, they've been done way above and beyond expectations. They have factored in 175% of the material flow rate that the new facility will be allowed to handle. And they have been verified by both of these state and local agencies as to the results. And they've shown that even factoring in the emissions that exist from surrounding sources, not only RMG's companion businesses at that site, but all of the surrounding sources along the industrial corridor, that the new facility will continue to meet and exceed all relevant health standards. And so these studies have been done, and the delay is not going to accomplish anything. And further, there's no authority for the EPA and the city under their own rules and regulations to have such a new study after the ones that have already been conducted. So we're just going around in circles, unfortunately. We are very sensitive to the environmental justice concerns that are being expressed, but the opponents are not arguing with the science because they can't. They're arguing with the symbol of industrial development that is bringing jobs and keeping revenue in the city of Chicago. And they've made this facility a demon for a larger cause. And I understand that, but it's really misplaced because the studies have shown that there will not be a worse cumulative impact from this facility on the surrounding neighborhood.
Gina Ramirez, we have about 20 seconds left in the segment. Real quickly, if this latest assessment, this environmental justice assessment, clears the path for this to go forward, will you support it?
No, the city needs to stop concentrating industry on the south and west sides, communities of colors in Chicago. We aren't going to stop until there's equity in Chicago.
And that's where we'll have to leave it. Gina Ramirez and Randall Sanborn, thank you so much. We appreciate your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And up next, we meet some of the vendors behind this season's Logan Square Farmers Market. So please stay with us. Located on the northwest side of Chicago, the Logan Square Farmers Market is one of the city's only weekly, nearly year-round farmers markets. Started in 2005, the outdoor food market is now providing a much-needed extra revenue stream for restaurants struggling during the COVID-19 shutdown. Chicago Tonight's Evan Garcia took a trip to Logan Square to meet some of this year's vendors and to see fresh plans for the future location of the farmers market.
We all get on the table and start dividing the dough and then shaping it. And once it's shaped, it'll rest in its shaped form overnight. And then in the morning, we start all over again.
Jess Galley is the head baker at Bungalow by Middlebrow, a brew pub located in the Logan Square neighborhood. 1 year ago, that restaurant expanded its bread baking operations to The Plant, a business complex in the back of the yards.
During COVID, demand for our bread grew so much that we needed more space, so we opened up that space. There's 3 different deliveries throughout the day from our space at the plant to Bungalow here.
This year, Bungalow by Middlebrow will be selling its bread and other homemade products at the Logan Square Farmers Market, an open-air food market started 16 years ago. Restaurant owner Pete Turnez says the opportunity helps expand his customer base.
Someone from Rogers Park comes down and grabs a loaf of our bread at the Logan Square Farmers Market. And then suddenly they want to come to our restaurant, hopefully, and try our pizza. These markets are critical, and Logan Square in particular, it's a terrific market and really draws from the entire city.
So here on Logan Boulevard, between Milwaukee and Whipple, you can see anywhere between 40 to 53 vendors every Sunday that range from farmers to bakers and produce vendors.
Nilda Esparza is the executive director of the Logan Square Chamber of Commerce, the head organizer of the farmers market, which runs nearly year-round.
We only have about a 5 to 6 week break throughout the year. After October, we bring it indoors. It is a different location every winter, and we run through March.
As part of a radical redesign of the Logan Square traffic circle, this stretch of Kedzie Avenue will be turned into a pedestrian plaza, eventually the permanent home of the Logan Square Farmers Market.
Aesthetically wise, that whole circle there is going to get a whole new look. And so for us, it's just a nice implementation to have a new home where we will have storage space to store our items every week, but definitely be able to accommodate more vendors on a weekly basis.
Mozzarella, tomato, and fresh basil. Margherita.
Yes.
The farmers market's vendors come from across Illinois, Indiana, Wisconsin, and Michigan. Letizia Serrano, owner of Letizia's Natural Bakery in Chicago's Westtown neighborhood, says she's been involved in the Logan Square Farmers Market for 10 years now.
First of all, I love the market. And we went over there offering our natural product, the baking, but also the fresh pasta.
Serrano says the sweet treats she'll sell outside at the farmers market will be a welcome indulgence after a difficult year.
I think yes, that the people is also stressed out and tired to be home, don't come to the restaurant, so they're gonna come happily to the market. I love the market. I love the market. Remind me the feeling of Italy, the feeling of people free.
For Chicago Tonight, I'm Evan Garcia.
COVID-19 didn't stop the Logan Square Farmers Market last year. The market began in June, a month later than normal, but continued through the fall, plus an indoor winter season at the venue Rockwell on the River. You can visit the Logan Square Market every Sunday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. The first hour is reserved for high-risk individuals to shop, and you can visit our website to learn more about it. Earlier this year, Chicago Tonight met 4 student fellows with the Chicago Musical Pathways Initiative, a program that helps students pursue careers in classical music. Here, 14-year-old Little Village resident Giovanni Ibarra offers his thoughts on the oboe as he performs Camille Saint-Saëns' Oboe Sonata.
I love this instrument so much because of how lyrical this instrument can be, the way it can express how you feel. It just feels like so round, so rich and like resonant. The oboe, it doesn't have to be a fast passage. It can be, but it doesn't need to be, and it could just be like resonant and sound beautiful. When I got into music, my band teacher, his name is Carlos Ayenta. He's the reason that I fell in love with it. Seeing him play, him telling us the stories, it was all just made me want to pursue music.
And we'll be featuring 3 more of these young musicians on Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices and Black Voices in the near future. And that is our show for this Saturday night. Be sure to check out our website, WTTW.com/news, for the very latest from WTTW News, including where parents of Chicago public school students can find mobile COVID-19 vaccination sites. And join Brandis Friedman tomorrow night for Chicago Tonight Black Voices. An Illinois Senate bill aims to address black hair discrimination in schools across the state. We break down the politics of black hair. And next week on Latino Voices, WBEZ's Araceli Gomez Aldana will be here in the host chair. Now, for all of us here at Chicago Tonight, Latino Voices, I'm Phil Ponce, and I thank you for sharing part of your weekend with us. Good night.
Closed captioning for this program is brought to you by Clifford Law Offices and Robert A. Clifford, a member of the National Advisory Board for the Advocacy Institute, a national initiative to train law students to become the best advocates in the profession.